Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our discussion program. Today, we are looking at a question that many people feel strongly about. Is it unethical to keep animals in zoos? It is a complex topic with strong opinions on both sides. Joining us to share their views are two expert guests. First, we have Dr. Elena Petrova, a biologist who has studied animal behavior for many years. Dr. Petrova believes that keeping animals in zoos is not ethical. Welcome, Dr. Petrova.
Thank you for having me, Ben.
And second, we have Mr. David Chen, the director of a large, modern zoo known for its conservation work. Mr. Chen believes that zoos play a vital role in animal welfare and conservation. Welcome, Mr. Chen.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Our discussion today will start with opening statements from each guest. Then, we will have a discussion period where they can respond to each other's points. Finally, each guest will give a short closing statement. Let's begin with the opening statements. Dr. Petrova, would you please start?
Thank you, Ben. My position is clear. Keeping wild animals in zoos is fundamentally unethical. It causes significant suffering to animals that deserve a life of freedom in their natural environment. Wild animals have evolved over thousands, even millions of years, to live in specific habitats. They need vast spaces to roam, hunt, forage, climb, fly, swim, and interact naturally with their own kind. Think about a bird that can fly hundreds of kilometers, or a large cat that patrols a huge territory. Zoos, even the best designed ones, cannot provide this. They offer only a small fraction of the space these animals need. The environments are artificial. The ground is not the same, the trees are not the same, the sounds and smells are different. Animals in zoos are prevented from performing their most basic natural behaviors. Predators cannot hunt. Birds cannot undertake long migrations. Animals that live in complex social groups are often kept alone or in unnatural groupings. This lack of freedom and inability to behave naturally leads to immense stress and psychological problems. We often see disturbing signs of this stress, like animals pacing back and forth constantly in their enclosures, or birds plucking out their own feathers, or apes showing listless, depressed behavior. These are not signs of happy, healthy animals. They are signs of animals struggling to cope with unnatural confinement. Some people say zoos are for conservation. But true conservation means protecting animals' natural habitats, the ecosystems where they belong. We need to fight deforestation, pollution, and climate change, the real threats that animals face in the wild. Keeping a few individuals in cages while their homes disappear is not a real solution. Furthermore, the idea of using intelligent, sensitive beings for human entertainment seems wrong to me. We should foster respect for animals, not treat them as objects to be looked at behind glass or bars. In conclusion, zoos represent a practice based on captivity, which denies animals their fundamental right to freedom and a natural life. It is time we move towards more ethical ways of appreciating and protecting wildlife.
Thank you, Dr. Petrova. Now, we will hear the opening statement from Mr. David Chen. Mr. Chen, please share your perspective.
Thank you, Ben, and thank you, Dr. Petrova, for your points. While I understand the concerns, I believe that good modern zoos are not unethical. In fact, they are necessary and beneficial for animals in many ways. It is important to distinguish between the poorly managed roadside attractions of the past and the accredited professional zoos of today. Modern zoos prioritize animal welfare above all else. Our animals receive excellent care. They have carefully planned diets to meet all their nutritional needs, far better than the uncertain food supply in the wild. They live in clean, safe enclosures designed to mimic their natural habitats as closely as possible. And crucially, they have access to expert veterinary care, specialist doctors who monitor their health daily and treat any illness or injury immediately. This level of care means animals in good zoos often live longer, healthier lives than their wild counterparts. Dr. Petrova mentioned conservation. Modern zoos are critical centers for the conservation of endangered species. Many species are facing extinction in the wild due to habitat loss, poaching, and disease, problems that are incredibly difficult to solve quickly. Zoos provide a safe haven. We manage complex international breeding programs for hundreds of threatened species. For some animals, like the Przewalski's horse or the California condor, zoo breeding programs were essential in saving them from disappearing forever. These programs maintain genetic diversity and provide populations that can, where possible, be reintroduced to protected areas in the wild. Zoos also play an irreplaceable role in education. Seeing a live animal creates a powerful connection, especially for children. It fosters empathy and a desire to protect these creatures and their habitats. Reading a book or watching a documentary is valuable, but it doesn't have the same emotional impact as seeing a tiger or a gorilla up close. This connection inspires people to support conservation efforts and make changes in their own lives. Furthermore, zoos conduct vital scientific research. We learn about animal biology, behavior, health, and reproduction in ways that are often impossible to study in the wild. This knowledge helps not only the animals in our care, but also conservation efforts in the field. Life in the wild is often brutal. Starvation, predators, disease, injury, and conflict are constant threats. Zoos offer protection from these dangers. While freedom isn't ideal, safety and health are also crucial aspects of welfare. In summary, responsible zoos provide high standards of care, contribute significantly to saving endangered species, educate millions of people, and support vital research. They are not prisons, but arks, helping to preserve biodiversity in an increasingly threatened world.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. We have heard two very clear but different opening arguments. Now let's move into our discussion section. I'd like to start by focusing on the conditions for animals within zoos, their welfare. Dr. Petrova, you spoke about suffering and stress caused by confinement. Mr. Chen, you described excellent care and safety. How do good zoos ensure animals are not just physically healthy, but also mentally well and happy, despite the lack of natural freedom?
That is a key point, Ben. Physical health is not the same as overall well-being. Mr. Chen speaks of enclosures designed to mimic natural habitats, but this is often superficial. A concrete floor painted green is not a meadow. A small pool is not an ocean or a river. Even the largest zoo enclosures are tiny compared to an animal's natural range. Imagine an elephant that walks many kilometers every day in the wild, searching for food and water. In a zoo, it might have a few acres at most. This restriction is inherently stressful. And what about social needs? Many animals live in complex family groups or herds. Zoos often cannot replicate these structures. Animals might be kept alone or with incompatible partners, or groups are broken up when animals are moved between zoos. This social disruption is another major source of stress. Mr. Chen mentioned enrichment, things like toys or food puzzles. While perhaps well-intentioned, these are poor substitutes for the complexity and challenge of a natural life. Giving a tiger a ball to play with does not replace the instinct and activity of hunting. It's like giving a prisoner a crossword puzzle and saying it replaces their freedom. It simply does not address the fundamental problem of captivity. The pacing, the bar biting, the self-harm. These behaviors tell us the animals are not coping well, no matter how clean the cage or how regular the meals.
Dr. Petrova raises important points about space and natural behavior. Modern zoo design is constantly evolving, trying to address these very issues. We invest huge amounts in creating habitats that are as complex and stimulating as possible. This includes varied terrain, water features, climbing structures, different plants, and areas where animals can hide and have privacy if they choose. It is true we cannot replicate the exact size of a wild territory, but we can provide a high quality of space. Regarding enrichment, it's much more sophisticated than just giving an animal a toy. It involves changing the environment regularly, hiding food so animals have to search for it, introducing new smells or objects, and designing feeding methods that mimic natural foraging or hunting behaviors. This provides mental stimulation and encourages natural activity patterns. We also carefully manage social groupings based on detailed behavioral research, aiming to create stable and positive social environments. And yes, the excellent healthcare and nutrition are vital parts of welfare. Preventing suffering from disease, injury, or starvation is a major ethical positive for zoos. We have dedicated keepers who know the individual animals and monitor their behavior closely for any signs of stress. We constantly research and implement new ways to improve their lives. It is not perfect, but it is far from the picture of constant suffering that Dr. Petrova suggests. We strive to provide a life that is safe, healthy, and behaviorally enriched.
A very interesting contrast in views on the quality of life inside zoos. Let's shift focus slightly to the roles Mr. Chen mentioned: conservation and education. Mr. Chen, can you give us some more concrete examples of how zoos are really making a difference in saving species from extinction? And Dr. Petrova, do you see any value at all in these conservation programs or in the educational aspect of zoos?
Absolutely, Ben. The contribution of zoos to conservation is significant and well documented. I mentioned the California condor earlier. By the 1980s, only 22 of these birds remained in the wild. A captive breeding program, largely based in zoos, was started. Today, there are hundreds of condors, many flying free in the wild again because of this program. Similarly, the golden lion tamarin, a small monkey from Brazil, was saved from the brink of extinction through zoo breeding and reintroduction efforts. There are many other examples: the black-footed ferret in North America, the Arabian oryx in the Middle East. These programs require incredible expertise in animal care, genetics, and reintroduction techniques. Expertise often found primarily in top zoos. Beyond breeding, zoos fund and participate directly in field conservation projects around the world. Money raised from visitors often goes towards protecting habitats and supporting anti-poaching patrols for animals in the wild. And the educational impact is real. Millions visit zoos each year. Our surveys show that people leave with a greater appreciation for animals and a better understanding of conservation issues. Connecting people with live animals creates ambassadors for wildlife. It makes the threats feel real and motivates action. Without zoos, public awareness and support for conservation would likely be much lower.
Mr. Chen highlights some famous examples, and it's true some species have benefited from captive breeding. However, these successful reintroductions are relatively few compared to the vast number of animals kept in zoos worldwide. Is it ethically justifiable to keep thousands of animals, representing hundreds of species, in captivity for the sake of a few breeding programs? Many animals in zoos belong to species that are not endangered, or they are not part of any serious breeding program. Furthermore, reintroduction is often very difficult or impossible. Animals born in zoos may not have the skills to survive in the wild. Suitable, safe habitat for release may no longer exist. Think about the cost. Running modern zoos with the facilities Mr. Chen describes is incredibly expensive. Imagine if that huge amount of money was spent directly on protecting habitats, buying land, funding rangers, working with local communities. It seems likely that this approach could protect far more animals and entire ecosystems than zoo programs currently do. As for education, I remain skeptical about the quality of learning. People often spend only a few moments at each enclosure. They might see an animal sleeping or pacing. Is this truly educational? Does it teach respect? Or does it reinforce the idea that animals are here for our amusement? High-quality nature documentaries can show animals behaving naturally in their own environments, often providing much deeper information and context than a zoo visit can. We can learn about and appreciate animals without keeping them captive.
Thank you both. It seems the effectiveness and ethics of conservation and education through zoos remain points of strong disagreement. We are nearing the end of our time, so I would like to ask each of you for a brief closing statement. Please summarize your main position on the question. Is it unethical to keep animals in zoos? Dr. Petrova, please begin.
Thank you. To summarize, I firmly believe that keeping wild animals in zoos is unethical. Zoos deprive animals of their most fundamental need, freedom. Confining animals to small, artificial spaces prevents natural behaviors and frequently leads to chronic stress, boredom, and psychological suffering. The observable signs of distress, like repetitive pacing, are clear indicators that these animals are not thriving. While some zoos participate in breeding programs, these benefit only a small number of species, and reintroduction into the wild remains a significant challenge. The vast resources spent maintaining zoos could arguably achieve far greater conservation impact if invested directly in protecting natural habitats and addressing the root causes of species decline. Education claims often overlook the superficial nature of many zoo visits and the potentially negative message that displaying captive animals sends. We can foster appreciation and understanding of wildlife through ethical means like documentaries, virtual reality, and supporting conservation work in the field. Respect for animals means respecting their right to live free in the environments they evolved for. It is time to transition away from the model of keeping wild animals captive for our purposes.
Thank you, Dr. Petrova. Mr. Chen, your closing statement, please.
Thank you, Ben. My position is that good, accredited zoos are ethical and play an essential, positive role in the modern world. These institutions provide exceptionally high standards of animal care, ensuring the health, safety, and well-being of the animals they house, often extending their lifespan significantly compared to the wild. Far from being mere entertainment, modern zoos are vital centers for conservation. They are instrumental in saving endangered species from extinction through carefully managed breeding programs and support crucial reintroduction efforts. Zoos also contribute significantly to scientific research, advancing our understanding of animal biology and behavior, which benefits conservation both in zoos and in the wild. The educational impact of zoos is unique and powerful. They connect millions of people, particularly children, with the natural world in a direct, engaging way, fostering empathy and inspiring a commitment to conservation that other methods cannot easily replicate. Zoos are constantly improving, investing in better habitats, more sophisticated enrichment, and deeper involvement in global conservation initiatives. In a world where wildlife faces unprecedented threats, responsible zoos serve as critical arcs, protecting species, educating the public, and contributing to a future where both animals and people can thrive. They are not unethical. They are a necessary part of the solution.
Thank you, Mr. Chen. And thank you, Dr. Petrova, for a very thought-provoking discussion. You have both presented compelling arguments on this difficult ethical question. We have heard the deep concerns about animal welfare and the fundamental right to freedom, weighed against the potential benefits of conservation, education, and research that modern zoos may offer. There are clearly no easy answers. We hope this discussion has given our listeners plenty to think about regarding the role of zoos in our relationship with the animal kingdom. Thank you to our audience for joining us today.